Hello guys, Robert1 here, and today I am doing a new segment on my channel called Good or Bad. This segment is going to be about cards in the format that I think are either good or bad, or cards coming out that I think are going to be good or bad or already out, and just mainly give my reasons and opinions on if they are good or bad. Before I start talking about this segment though, the reason I am not doing the future of Yu-Gi-Oh! Or have not done it in the past 3 weeks is that Konami's not really giving me anything to talk about that I really think would be interesting to talk about for you guys. We've had like Delta Gadget and stuff like that, but I don't really feel like talking about those because they don't really seem interesting enough. Plus, I like to do multiple cards at a time, and I really don't think the Delta Gadget is really good because I can't really see, well, not even Gadget, Magnet Warrior, because I don't really think the Magnet Warriors are going to be a good deck over the ABCs. So that's why I haven't really been doing the Future of Yu-Gi-Oh! Segment lately. So the card we're going to be talking about today in the new good or bad segment, where I talk about new cards, cards that are already out, or just cards in general that there are discussion, that there's a 50-50 reason in the format between all the player base if it's good or bad, is Pot of Desires. There's the card that is very desired from the Dark Illusions. So the reason we're talking about Pot of Desires today because it's like a 50-50 discussion between the entire Yu-Gi-Oh community. There are people who say it's a great card and there are people who say it's a bad card. So it's like a 50-50 sort of thing where I really thought I'd discuss the pros and cons of the card Pot of Desires. So let's get into it. We will start off with the pros of Pot of Desires. Now, the pros of Pot of Desires is obviously you +1. And just being able to +1 in this game is always a great thing. Being one card ahead of your opponent is always good, and it really does help you fight an uphill battle against them. The decks that I could see this card being really good in are decks like Blue Eyes, DDDs, Metal Foes. Decks like those that run a lot of free-ofs, just like a ton of free-ofs copies of certain cards, and don't really care about banishing the cards from their deck. Another good thing is that you actually get to see what you banish from your top 10 cards. So you can actually tell what your cards are banished, so you can actually decide what plays you want to make, which isn't really bad because Pot of Desires does have a lot of good points, but it's also got a lot of bad points as well, which we'll get onto later. Now, why is it good in something like Blue Eyes? Well, for starters, Blue Eyes are a deck that like to draw through their entire deck as fast as possible to get as much advantage just to be able to get over your opponent. So, for starters, the deck already runs free trade-in, card of consonants, stuff like that. Upstart Goblin even sometimes, I believe, as well. And it likes to thin their deck out. They even play Dragon Shrine. Some of them play Dragon's Ravine. If you're playing the ritual-based version, you play Manju. They play like 3 Max Cs. They play a lot of cards to deck thin out their deck. So it really does make sense for them to actually play a card like Pot of Desires, so they can thin out their deck to get to the combo piece cards they need. They also play free Melody of Awakening Dragon, which is a 3+2. Now, why else is Pot of Desires good in a Blue Eyes deck? Well, before you actually use the Pot of Desires, you're gonna use your draw cards first, so you can reach your combo pieces in the deck. Because yes, the deck uses combo pieces to actually get to it, but it's a deck that can runs a lot of freer, so you're unlikely to banish all 3 copies of a certain card. So in the deck like Blue Eyes, you're always going to be banishing you're never going to banish all 3 copies of your card unless you're very unlucky. So that's a very good reason behind it. It's a Desires is a great card because it allows you to go through the entire deck faster in the deck with Trade-In, Upstart Goblin, Melody of Awakening Dragon, all of that. And you're obviously going to use this card before you're obviously going to use Pot of Desires after you search for your deck. Now, why is it a good card in the DDD deck? Well, the DDD deck are kind of the same in a way because they use Kepler and Gate to search through their deck as fast as possible. Plus, they use a lot of free-offs. Like, every monster they use is a free-off practically, except for maybe Thomas and Necro Slime. But you don't really mind if there are 2 because there's still a low chance of you banishing both of them. Not as low as banishing all 3, but as low as banishing both of them. So even if you do banish like the top 10 cards of your deck, DDD want to get to their combo pieces as fast as possible as well. So just being able to banish the top 10 cards of your deck, get 2 draws, and maybe be able to just go off completely because of those 2 draws is an amazing advantage in the DDD deck. And finally, why is it good in Metal Foes? Well, Metal Foes, for starters, they have every Metal Foes monster is a Sky Iris, being able to destroy any face-up card to set any spell trap card from your deck, which is very good in the Metal Foes deck. So just being able to search out your deck really fast, then go Pot of Desires to draw 2 cards, then banish top 10. You don't really care because you're not running like any one-offs in the deck. You run 3 Kieran, 3 Raccoon, 3 Gofu as well. You're running a lot of. And the only one-off I can really see you running is the Metal Foes Fusion, which before you use Pot of Desires, you will obviously set first. So that's the pros in those decks, and I hope those pros also fit into other decks because I can actually see them fitting into other decks as well. So those are all the pros of Pot of Desires. Now for the cons. Now, for starters, the con is obviously banishing the top 10 cards of your deck. Now, banishing the top 10 cards of your deck can be a very risky thing as well, which is a very bad con in the deck. So just say you banish your combo pieces for a deck that uses a lot of one-offs. Then if you banish those combo pieces, then you're not going to be able to use them later on in the game, which you would need to actually win the game. So that's a very bad con to the deck. But the decks that I can see this card being terrible in are decks like Performer Pals, and BA, and other combo-based decks that can't really come to mind right now. Also Monarchs, obviously. Even though they run a lot of 3-ofs, if you banish any of their cards, they're going to have a hard time playing. So, yes, we'll start off by talking about why it's a bad card to play in the Pendulum deck. So, the Pendulum deck, it's a bad card to play in, mainly because if you banish any of your combo pieces, say Joker, Monkey Board, your one-of Odd Eyes cards, your Luster Pendulum, you're going to have a very hard time playing throughout the game, which is going to be very hard for you to actually come back, because you need cards like Luster to make Ignista, you need cards like Joker to be able to deck thing yourself, and you need the cards like Monkey Board to create your scale. And it's very hard for you to actually do that without these cards. So it's a very bad thing if you banish these cards in the Pendulum deck. So that's one of the main reasons why it's bad in the Pendulum deck. Now let's move on to the Burning Abyss deck. Now, obviously, the main reason why it's bad in the Burning Abyss deck is you never want to banish your own BA cards. If you banish your own BA cards, you could banish your one-off cards, say Farfa, not Farfa, say Graf, Seer, stuff like those. You can even banish your Twin Twisters, your trap cards that you may need if you do run traps. Stuff like those that really do help your deck out. And you're running a lot of monsters in the deck, but you never want to banish your own cards in the deck. So same in the combo deck, you don't really want to banish any of your cards in the BA deck either. And you can't really recur the banished cards back from the banish zone, because there is no way for a BA player to actually do that. And also, as far as you are going in the BA deck, you're milling your deck out as fast as you can. If you banish those 10 cards, you could eventually deck out because you did banish the top 10 cards. And finally, the reason why it's bad in Monarchs is because you never want to banish your cards as well. If you banish in Monarchs, you're going to have a bad time playing because you need those Monarchs to actually be able to play the duel. So you banish like an Ether or 2 Ether, or if you're very unlucky, 3 Ether, you're going to have a very hard time playing. And just banishing your Ethers can be very, very hard to play. Sure, you're obviously not going to have a high chance of banishing all 3 Ethers, but if you do, it's going to be a very hard time to play for you, because you can't banish your big Monarchs, and if you do, you're not going to be able to play the game as easy as you would. And another reason, you banish any of your spell cards, you're going to have less fodder to actually use for your tribute summoned Monarchs, which an Aether and Erebus, they both need the tribute summon, they both need the spell and trap cards in the deck to actually be able to send to the graveyard to actually gain the effects. And if you banish a Prime, then you're going to be a bad time as well, because Prime needs banish fodder in the graveyard to be actually able to play. And same with Erebus, you don't want to banish Erebus because it's your tribute fodder as well. Sure, you can look at the cards as well, but you technically can't use. Also, if you banish Eidos or idea, that's a bad thing as well for you, because those cards are some of the best cards for you to actually tribute summon your monsters, and without those you can't really play as easily. So yeah, those are more reasons why it's bad in Monarchs. In the end, Pot of Desires is still a 50-50 card right now. It's good, but it's also bad at the same time. There's reasons for it to be used in both Monarchs. I mean, there's reasons to be used in decks, but currently I see this card as a bad card because it leans to one side and it can lean to another. Like, playing DDD, Blue Eyes, Metalfoes, sure, play the card. It can be good, but if you banish those necessary cards, you're going to be in a very bad position. But if you're playing it in Pendulums, BA, Monarch, never play it in those decks. Like, it's a terrible card in general in those decks, and I would never touch it in the decks. They're fast enough as it is as well. They don't need these support cards, like Pot of Desires. So, yeah, guys, it's still a 50-50 card in my mind, but I'm leaning more onto the side it's bad because I don't want to ever banish my combo pieces. So, yeah, guys, tell me what you think of Pot of Desires in the comments section below. Tell me if you want to see more good or bad segments on my channel. And, as always, please like, comment, and subscribe for more Yugioh videos. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.